month and fix it.
Well, I guess there's one advantage in terms of doing the temporary fix now and then having a gap and then doing the rest in a little bit in a few months, is that you'd have some time to see how it reacted.
Oh yeah,
is that right?
I mean, that's certainly the case. We're going to be out here observing how this temporary fix is handling some flows, and you know, in one sense, I hope we don't get any big storms, because then it's not tested, you know, and I don't have to worry about it. But in the other sense, I do want it to experience some flows, because, like you're saying, we can see how it reacts.
We'll hit drought season.
Of course.
Nothing, and yeah. Why did they do all? Yeah, right. Yeah.
When the water comes back through here now, after you put that up there, is it going to be going faster as it comes around that bend? Do you expect it to slow down at all, or?
Well, you know, faster is all a question of what you're comparing it to,
Sure.
and in this situation, y'all have lost so much bank as it is that we're really putting it back to a situation that at least up to the elevation that we're dealing with, that it was maybe 6 months ago,
right,
or maybe less. And the so I would say with regard to comparing to that, I'd say no. They're hydraulically, this rock is rougher than bare soil. So rougher is slower, and so in that sense, that there's some slowdown.
So the water will kind of help filter through that too, so help slow it down.
Right.
Right. Okay. And the reason why I ask that is because if we see, I mean, we shouldn't be alarmed if all of a sudden there's a rock or two missing. Not that a rock or two will be missing.
No, I'm glad you asked, actually. That as Kelly said, that there's a size range that we're going to expect to see out there. One of the ways in which this structure gains its strength is by having a range of sizes. You know, you can imagine if you just consider marbles, if you have all marbles of one size, there's space in between those marbles. But if you take the marbles and then you throw some smaller marbles in between, it starts to become a little more of a uniform.
Locks it in.
Locks it in, right. Right. So we're gonna, because there's going to be some smaller material in there, it will help lock it in as a whole, but also that smaller material is subject to getting moved. So yeah, you might see some rocks come off, and it's not to be alarming.
So we're getting our our land back that we've lost with this fix that's coming now with this phase.
Temporary fix? No.
No. Okay, that's what I was about to make sure.
You can see that up here. Here's your property line up here, and these symbols that indicate the slope. You can see how they go back here. So the rock, what it's doing is we're coming up to a height of, like I said, around 7 feet, and then we're going back flat to tie into the slope where it is. Okay?
Yeah, your house is sitting here. You still have the drop off, but we're bringing it up about 7 feet.
How far out this way will it go?
Well, we're going at, what you can see on here is a 2-to-1 slope.
Okay.
And so that, just from the height itself, that's going to give you 14 feet. But then on top of that, you have the tie-in that's at a flat slope. So 14 feet minimum, and then it could be larger than that.
So then right now everything's going to be the same up top, but it's going to be this reinforcement and whatnot. All the work is going to be down at the bottom, at the most critical area,
Right.
And then a few months later in the fall, then they'll come back and work on the other area, the rest of it.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And,
Okay.
and I think in one of the past meetings, someone asked about, you know, the transition from the temporary to the long term, and you know, we don't have the detail worked down on the long term, so I can't really speak to that fully. But there's a good chance that what you're seeing here will be covered up by the long term fix, and you know, how the mechanics of how that's going to work, we're still under design on, so I can't really get. I wish I could be more specific on that. But
Well, they wouldn't rip it out 2 months later, would they? I mean, you know.
It wouldn't make a whole lot for you to be.
No,
but
well, it is the government. Oh, so no, it's not. Maybe. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I digress. No.
You know, as far as efficiency goes, I mean, it would be more efficient to come in here and do the long-term fix now, certainly.
Yeah.
But things being as they are, and the efficiency is really not the concern. It's the houses. So we want to do what it takes to get some protection in there. It may not be necessarily the most efficient process, but it's going to give us a better level of protection than it would be if we were to wait you know,
So you-
till the winter to do, or fall to do the long-term
Right.
fix.
Well, that's all okay. I mean, what I'm hearing though is that might not work out. That might not work out, and then you might have to pull some or all of that out, and for the final fix, right?
Well, I wouldn't.
It's a
I wouldn't say that
possibility.
it might not work out. I mean, yes, anything's possible.
Right,
It's possible.
right.
It may not work. That's certainly true. But I wouldn't necessarily frame it like that. I would say more so that it's. We know that the long-term fix is something different, and therefore it's going to have to change. But that's not because the temporary didn't work.
We may be adding to this, though. What I'm saying is, what's in the bottom there, we may be adding just to the top part of that on
Right.
the next phase.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Build off of that. Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
This is your foundation.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
And
Yeah.
we understand that it's temporary, and this is just to keep the land from continuing to fall in.
you're right.
I mean, that's just, we understand that, and I was just wanting to ask questions to see, you know, at what point should we call you if it all disappears, which I don't expect it would. We should probably call you, but if it's
Should we
somewhere
call
between
someone
there,
if our house is going down the creek? Should we? All right. Who do we call? Anyway.
No, I think I would err on the side of caution and just call us. I would err on the side of caution on that one.
Right.
Sure. Just call us. We'd rather have too many calls.
The rock's gone, what?
You'll be doing the another temporary bank stabilization. It looks like right Advance right there.
That's right. Yeah.
Which,
I didn't
are
really
you doing
think of
them
that as much, but-
simultaneously, or are you
That's
doing
right.
which one first?
We're doing them both together.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's up to the contractor, but within this 3-week period, as long as there's no rain or weather delays, yes, both spots will be working.
Got it. Would you anticipate if the first one goes in that there's more pressure applied to the existing bank issues that we have?
No.
No.
No, because the pressure is coming from the flow, and the flow doesn't change from up there to down here. It's the same volume flow rate of water. So in that regard, no.
Okay.
Is there going to be like fencing or caging around the rocks, or how?
No.
Like, or is it just going to be the rock?
Just the rock. Yeah, you're talking. I think you're talking about the gabions. That is a potential option, but we're not using that here. We feel more confident with it with the riprap here than with a gabion type structure. The main reason being that
No,
if
what's
there-
the
if there-
riprap?
pardon me. Yeah, it's one of these lingo things, you know. No, riprap is the stone we're talking about.
Okay,
This is,
just
yeah,
stone.
The big stone.
the big stuff.
Okay.
Big heavy stuff. And as far as, it's probably not worth getting into the differences between gabions and rock, but the gist is that we feel more comfortable with this type of structure in this situation. But we can look at the Dance Road if you're interested. It's
Sure.
similar.
Oh.
It's a very similar
Go ahead.
type of design, so it's probably not going to be overwhelmingly different. But we can look at the plan sheet for that too, for sure.
Got
I'd
it.
like to look at it.
So will this be on straight, this 14-foot slope, will it be like straight across the creek, or will it be curves, kind of follow the contour, or how's that?
Well, since you asked that, maybe we will look at Vance.
Good question.
That is what we're doing at Vance,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's because of the nature of the failure at Vance, and because it's right on that bend. In your situation, we're in a bit of a transition point where up here at Vance we have a pretty sweeping turn, and down here at the end of your project we have a pretty sweeping turn. In where your actual bank failure is occurring, it's relatively straight, and so therefore it's going to be a relatively straight fix. But as I said before, these banks are actively failing, and if it starts to move up or it starts to move down and we need to extend the project in either direction, then it will start to have to curve.
Now, when you do a permanent fix, do you know this much? Do you know if it'll start from all the way down where the bridge is at Vance Road and come all the way down, or will it be right there and kind of right here as well, or?
We haven't yet determined that.
Okay.
Yeah. They're for the temporary fix, obviously they're a little more isolated as far as the area of work.
Right.
For the long-term fix, it's possible they might start to come together, and it's also possible that they may still stay a little bit isolated, but it's hard to say at this point how that grading is going to work out.
Right.